Hey, it's Chuck. Welcome in. We're not having spring football. There's been a lot of conversation about it. In most of all the areas of Ohio, spring football would decimate many spring athletic programs like baseball and track. There's no intent on having spring football here. That's a quote from Ohio High School Athletic Association Commissioner Dan Ross in 2014. The reason Dan Ross made that quote in 2014 is because a big dog was bringing attention to this ridiculous rule that has held our high school football players back for long enough. Now, Dan Ross had at that point met with Urban Meyer twice about the issue. At that time, this rule had already been tossed out by Pennsylvania, West Virginia, basically all the southern schools, but for some reason, Dan Ross thought Ohio was different. Quote, Coach Meyer went to a small school in Northeast Ohio. He knows what this would do to spring sports. And then the conversation was gone. It went away. You find it on some Ohio State football boards, recruiting boards, etc. from time to time, but no big attention for 10 years. Well, it's back, and it's back in a way that it's bigger than ever. Maybe this time we get a different result because Shaker Heights safety TREY McNUTT, a Buckeye legacy, the number 2 safety in the country, has been suspended for a game because he broke the spring football rule. TREY McNUTT, a football player, being recruited by every blue blood in the country with an NFL trajectory, had the audacity to play in a 7-7 football tournament in Miami. And now the best player in our state is suspended for a game this year, his senior year, because of a 7-on-7 football tournament out of state. Sometimes it just takes one person in the right position with some stones to make a big change. And our man McNutt, he's playing again this weekend in another 7-on-7 in LA. McNutt told 24/7 Sports, quote, I think this rule is unacceptable. It's taking control of the kids and it feels like it's stripping away basic rights. How are you going to tell somebody they can't go and train to play football? At the same time, these other sports, they're able to play AAU and everything, but football can't do it. I'm fighting this rule because it's generally wrong and it's for the generations after me. The 24/7 article by Steve Wiltfong states, some believe the OHSAA would be up for changing this rule, but the real battle would be with the Ohio State High School Football Coaches Association. According to the article, the majority of the football coaches are still in favor of the current landscape. Is that the case? I don't know. But I know it's unjust. I was stunned 10 years ago that Urban Meyer didn't get more traction with this, that he didn't have the pull to change this, that the OHSAA commissioner had the nerve to say Urban knows what this would do to spring sports, as if it's just a fact that this would decimate spring sports despite contrary evidence in the states surrounding us. Well, Doug Ute, current OHSAA commish, it's on you now, buddy. Your organization just suspended the best player in Ohio for a rule on your books, and this time around it's getting national attention. No logical thinking person could hear TREY McNutt's argument on this and not agree that this is unjust. And can we also say for many kids in Ohio, scratching and clawing for a football scholarship, maybe that extra training, maybe that extra playing time, that new coach, being able to showcase their skill set in front of other coaches in other states could have been the difference. Because the difference is inches for kids that are right on that cut line. What about them? How many of them didn't get that scholarship in the past because of this ridiculous rule? If it's one, then it's one too many. And that one had nothing to do with spring sports or upholding spring sports. Those who play spring sports and support spring sports, that's their responsibility. If you can't get enough players for your spring sports, then I'm sorry. Change the rules, reduce the teams. I don't know what to do. Be creative. Like the states that play football with reduced number of players because they can't get enough 11 men to field a team. That's on the OHSAA to figure that out. That's what you're here for. But that's not on our high school football players to make your job easier. It's a tough problem. I understand. But we don't get to take our tough problems and make them someone else's issue. That's not how it works. And let's talk about the best of the best players in the state of Ohio. The ones that can't travel to LA and Miami while the rest of the country is playing 7-on-7 tournaments and showcasing their skill set. In the current landscape, that could be costing them a whole lot of money, in some cases generational money for them. How do you justify this? Quote, I feel like 7-on-7 has given me experience that not everyone can get, McNutt said. Every single tournament I've been to, it's my first time visiting a new state. I'm building connections with new people. It's like having a new family, and at the same time, I'm getting exposure, which is helping me build status in everything. I don't understand why they don't want us to do it. McNutt's mom, Latoya, said, at this point, it's all or nothing for us. Why should he have to sit out one game? You're making us have to face this decision. The number 1 DB in Ohio not to play football in Ohio his senior year. That's a decision we have to face as a family if the OHSAA doesn't make any changes or concessions to modify this rule. He has a mother that is strong, and we will challenge, and they will not like it. Even if we have to leave the state of Ohio, the challenge is not going away. His athletic director at Shaker Heights, Mike Babinek, told 24/7 Sports, we have no comment at this time. Well, Mike, the best player in the state suits up for your school. He just got suspended for a rule that you know is wrong because everybody knows it's wrong. So what are you going to do for your guy? I am so happy that a player of TREY McNutt's stature has not just taken the stand that he has on this, but has spoken out as strongly as he has, and his mom. And I'm so happy that they're throwing down the gauntlet and saying they will leave the state and go play football elsewhere, because if that happens in the state of Ohio, the pressure will be incredible. So the OHSAA can do the right thing now, or they can do the right thing later with a whole lot of egg on their face, because this is happening one way or the other. Thanks to you, TREY McNutt. Because not only has this rule kept a lot of high school players from reaching their absolute full potential in football, the sport that they play, it's just ethically wrong. TREY McNutt and a lot of football players don't play spring sports. They're not responsible for your spring sports success or failure. They don't care. It's none of their business. And for you to tell them they can't play football, the sport that they play, because you want to protect someone else's sport is utterly absurd. It never should have been a thing. It shouldn't be a thing now. Trey's mom, Latoya, added, Trey is going to keep fighting, and I hope everyone stands behind him, because I sure will. And that's all I got for tonight. Please like and share this one. Let's support our guy. Talk to you soon.